In today's lesson, we'll talk about trade barriers, their importance, and their positives and negatives. We'll be on page 4 of the interactive notebook. So first, let's talk about what is a trade barrier. Basically, this is a way of preventing a foreign product or service from freely entering a nation's territory. We have 4 different types of trade barriers. We have what's known as a protective tariff, which is a tax on imported goods. We have an import quota, which is a limit on the amount of a good that can be imported during a period of time. We have a trade embargo, which is a ban on trade with a country or a group of countries. Usually this is to influence or pressure a country into adopt a policy or get rid of a policy. Historically, the United States has had a trade embargo with the country of Cuba because we did not agree with their political party or concept of communism. And finally, we have what's known as a voluntary export restraint, or a VER. And this is a limit on the quantity of a good that can be exported from a country during a time period, otherwise known as an export quota. I do not know why they don't call it just an export quota. A voluntary export restraint is a very fancy way of saying an export quota. So what are the effects of trade barriers? Trade barriers limit the supply of a good that's going to enter the nation. They result in the higher prices of goods. And they can create a trade war. Now, a trade war is not a military war with trading. It's a cycle of increasing trade restrictions. So a trade war is a cycle of increasing trade restrictions. For example, one country might restrict imports. Then its trading partner might impose its own restrictions against that country. And usually it goes around and around and around, and they keep increasing until they come to a conclusion. The United States recently has been involved in a trade war with China. So why do we use these trade barriers? The main answer is because of protectionism. Protectionism is the use of trade barriers to protect a nation's industry from foreign competition. So how does protectionism work? There's 3 main components of protectionism. 1, it protects the jobs of the American citizens. 2, it protects new or infant businesses. Basically, they shield against older, more mature foreign rivals. And 3, it guards against national security, because certain industries, such as steel, are essential to the protection of our nation. So what are some positives and negatives of these different trade barriers? Starting with a protective tariff. Positives include raising the revenue of the nation. Remember, a revenue is like the paycheck of the nation, so it generates income for the nation. It also protects our domestic industries from the competition of cheaper foreign goods. The negatives, it doesn't benefit consumers, and domestic producers can ultimately raise the price since it's not competing with foreign goods, which would also, again, make consumers pay more for that good. The positives and negatives of an import quota. Again, it protects our domestic industries. Negatives, again, it raises prices for consumers. And once that quota is reached, the domestic goods replace the cheaper foreign goods. So again, the prices could increase. Finally, our positives and negatives of a trade embargo. The positive here is, again, a trade embargo is aimed at trying to pressure a country to change a certain policy. Just depends on the nation and what's going on. Negatives are that a trade embargo cuts off all trade between those 2 countries. So neither country is getting the goods that they seek. So again, today we were talking about the importance of trade barriers, what they are, some of the pros and cons. Make sure you enter this into your interactive notebook, and thanks for watching.